Hello and welcome to the kitchen for this chemistry at home. What we're going to be looking at today is we are going to be looking at the thermal decomposition of a very common baking ingredient. That baking ingredient is this, okay, bicarbonate of soda. Chemical name, sodium hydrogen carbonate. So we're going to look at how heat, okay, breaks this down into its products and help us make a really nice tasty treat. And that tasty treat is honeycomb. Now, what else do you need to make the honeycomb? Well, you can find the ingredients in the description below. They'll also appear on screen right now, so you can pause the video, go shopping if you need to go and grab some extra bits and bobs. But I'm going to run through them as well. What do you need? You need 200 grams of caster sugar. You need 5 tablespoons of golden syrup, so there's a lot of sugar here. More sugar in the form of chocolate. This is optional, however. And last but by no means least, you need the sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, you need 2 teaspoons of that. The only other thing that you require equipment-wise is you need a spoon, okay, which I've got in just something here so because it gets messy. You need a large pan. Okay, you can't do this with a small pan, even though there's not many ingredients. You'll need a large pan and you'll find out why. And last but by no means least, you need a sort of 20 centimetre tray with some baking paper in it, or just a little bit of butter around the outside. You can also use a loaf tin for this as well, anything shaped inside, because you're actually going to break the honeycomb at the end anyway. So, recap. Chemistry we're looking at, thermal decomposition of the sodium hydrogen carbonate. Interestingly, there is a second bit of chemistry to do with all of the sugar, which is caramelisation, which is actually pretty complicated, but it kind of just involves removing water. But there's some fascinating chemistry in that. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but there's a link in the description below if you want to read out more about that. Okay? And, well, that's pretty much all the intro to do. So why don't we get baking? Let's go. So, step number 1 is to add in the sugar, okay, and start to get this melted down. So there's our sugar. And we also need to add the other version of sugar, which is our golden syrup. So here we go. This is the messy bit. It's always fun and trying to get it off the spoon, it gets absolutely everywhere. Right, so what you want to do now is you want to heat this on a low heat. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this right now. Okay, it's very, very fluid. Okay, pretty much all my sugar has melted. Now we're going to go on to caramelization stage. Now, also with this, I'm just going to talk through the next bit. So you're going to turn the heat up ever so slightly. This is going to caramelize. It's going to get a really nice amber colour. Okay, once it's got that really nice amber colour, what you need to do is turn the heat off and add the bicarbonate of soda. That's where the chemistry kicks in. And what is the chemistry? Well, this is the chemistry. We've got bicarbonate of soda, which is NaHCO3. That's our sodium hydrogen carbonate. And what that does is it breaks down by the heat. Hence why we've got this thermal decomposition. Thermal is heat, decomposition is breakdown. We've then got sodium carbonate being made. We've also got water being made. And last but not least, we've got carbon dioxide, CO2. And that is produced as a gas. Okay, and what that can do is that will then just basically bubble up and fill up our honeycomb. So let's see it in action. Oh, the smell is just wonderful at this point. Okay, so make sure, okay, because everything here is really, really hot. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to add our sodium hydrogen carbonate in a moment, but make sure that you've got a tea towel nearby. If this is hot, okay, mine's nice and cold, so I'm using my hands. Make sure you're doing this under supervision if need be. The next couple of steps are quite quick. So first off, heat off. There we go, my heat is off. I'm actually going to just leave this here for a moment. Okay, let's add the powder and let's see what happens. So we're going to give it a stir. Let it do it magic. Look at that. There we go. It's going to rise up. God, look at that go. let it do its thing. God, check that out. Isn't that awesome? It's still going, it's still growing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over into the baking soda now. Here we go. Let's get those last little bits in. So as I said, those last couple of stages need to be done quite quickly. Here is my honeycomb. Okay, it is now in my dish. It doesn't matter how it looks, whatever, because we're going to break it up into moments. Mine's actually still growing ever so slightly because it's still hot. Okay, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over to the side. I'm going to leave it to cool until it's hard. Okay, once it's hard, I'm then going to break it up into smaller pieces, but we'll get to that in a moment. And here we are. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes or so. It's cooled down. I've removed the baking paper, just put it back in its container because I'm going to break it up in a moment. But this is our honeycomb. Looks like stuff you buy in the shops. It's amazing. I'm really, really chuffed with this. So how do you break it up? Well, what you need to do is ideally you'd want something like a toffee hammer. I don't have a toffee hammer. What I do have is a wooden spatula. And all you need to do is just lightly tap it to break it apart into chunks. Just lightly tap it. Tap it quite hard in places. You want it in certain bits and pieces. Try and keep it in large chunks if you can. And then you can basically make them into the size of honeycomb that you like. There we go. Some honeycomb. Okay, there's a little bit of baking powder left in it, but look at that. Isn't that cool? You can see all of the little bubbles created by the carbon dioxide as that sodium hydrogen carbonate decomposed. Okay, you might be asking yourself, hang on a second, what's this he's got here? Well, you know I said chocolate was an optional step. Well, what I have got is some chocolate. And what you can do is basically heat the chocolate over a boiling pan of water. I'm using a steamer here because it's quite an efficient way of getting all of the heat into the chocolate, and that melts the chocolate. So it looks like a bit like the chocolate you get at a chocolate fondue. And then all you do is you take your honeycomb, very quickly wrap it in the chocolate, like so. Just going to move that out of the way, and then pop it onto another bit of baking powder to dry off. There we go. Bit of chocolate there. We have a piece of chocolate covered honeycomb. Amazing, awesome. So, what we have done in this chemistry at home is we have used sodium hydrogen carbonate, also known as bicarbonate of soda, to make honeycomb, this really nice sugary treat. Enjoy in small amounts. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've sort of learned some chemistry, you've gone along. I've got one little top tip for helping clean up, because that is one of the slightly disastrous things about using sugar, is that it does leave a little bit of a mess. What you do is just basically put the pans and various of the things that you've used that have got any of the sugar residue on it, or the caramel sort of residue on it, and put some boiling water or really hot water into that dish and just leave it for a bit. And what will happen is all of the sugar will just basically dissolve into the water, and then you can basically pour it out, give it a clean, and it looks just like new, okay? Or just like the pan that it looked like before you used it. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below. It'd be awesome to hear your input about this video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share the video. It'd be awesome to see everybody making honeycomb and following this video along and learning a little bit of chemistry as they go. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.